let's start with Iraq, and let's start with the real name of this particular area from a scriptorial point of view. Bottom line, Iraq is Babylon. This is the scriptorial Babylon. Before I get into the history of Babylon, let's break down the word Babylon, Babel. Now, this particular word reached us in the English language form, of course, through the Greek civilization, etc., like that, with the meaning of confusion. But if you trace it a little farther back, we see that the Greeks used to call it chaos. Chaos. That's how we got it in the English language as confusion. So chaos and confusion, same word. Now, the origin of that word chaos in the Sumerian language, who are we talking about? We're talking about Cush. That's what the word is. Cush, chaos, and confusion is the same word. So Cush is Babylon. That's it. So when we're talking about Iraq and all of that, we're talking about Cush. Now, who is Cush? Cush is the oldest son of Kim. Now, Kim is somebody that they have really, really worked on that name in the English language to keep you from knowing anything about Kim, because this is a very important word, Kim. This is the esoteric symbol, the esoteric icon for scientific knowledge. This word Kim. This is where we get the word chemistry from. But what do they do for us in the English language, in the Western language, when they try to hide this from us? They switch this word to one of the most foulest animals that you can think of, the human garbage disposal, the pig, the ham. So they call this word ham to keep us from making the connection. So Kim is the correct name, and this is the esoteric icon for scientific knowledge. Kim's oldest son was Cush, and you would see in the history books they would interchangeably use the word the Kemetic or Cushite Empire. Now, how did all of this lead up to Babylon, to that area over there now, Iraq, where we see so much madness going on, so much infighting, so much blood being shed by our young men from all over the world. And so why Babylon? I'll tell you why. If you believe in the revealed scripture, and I know you do, scripture is being fulfilled before our eyes. This is why I also open with the scripture, the men of Nineveh. This is what the Messiah, Jesus, said. The men of Nineveh shall rise up in judgment of this generation and condemn it, because they repented at the preachings of Jonah. One greater than Jonah was there. Now keep in mind, what is Nineveh? We're talking about the same place. When they say Nineveh, this is just Babylon. Because Nineveh means the habitation of Ninus. That's the meaning of it. And Ninus was Nimrod, the mighty hunter, the founder of the Babylonian Empire, which I would get into in a few minutes. And you can't really talk about Nineveh without talking about Jonah, because Jonah is the one that was sent to warn the Ninevites. And for this generation, the sign of Jonah, remember something else Messiah Jesus said, the only sign I give you is the sign of the prophet Jonah. And the sign of Jonah for this generation is the descendants of the slaves of America, the African American. Right now, I'm getting ready to tell you about an individual that is at the center point of all of this idol worship. Oh, you probably heard his name in passing. if at all, or if you read the scripture. His title and his name is mentioned in the scripture. Let's take a trip back in history. Let's go to a time before the event of conventional warfare, when the animals of the earth was at constant conflict with human beings, as if they knew it was the activities of human beings that had caused the catastrophe of the flood to come upon the earth. In the area where early mankind lived, where the early human beings lived, you had some of the most vicious animals on the earth. The lions, the tigers, the poisonous snakes, and the various predators of the mountains. But the most vicious and ferocious of all the animals on the earth was a leopard. The leopard was a guerrilla warrior. The leopard was one of the few animals that had absolutely no fear of human beings. He correctly considered them to be his enemies. The leopard had been known to track his prey for days. If wounded or cornered, he was a ferocious fighter. It was by conquering the leopard and utilizing him in the hunting of the other animals that the oldest son of Cush would receive the name that would make him the first super warrior, the first superhero, the first superstar. That name, Nimrod. The name Nimrod is taken from the two-part Sumerian word Nim, that means leopard, and Rod, that means to subdue or conquer. It is Nimrod whose activities in relationship to the animals of the earth would lay the foundations of the Babylonian Empire. The Babylonian religious, political, and economic system. The Babylonian mystery of iniquity. Now, it is very important to understand the identity of Nimrod, the mighty hunter, for he is the seed of all of this idol worshiping that we see in existence today. All of these idol worshiping concepts and all of these idol worshiping holidays. Nimrod would develop the concept of fortification to deal with the wild animal population. The art of fortification would lay the foundation for the concept of Freemasonry. Nimrod would surround himself with a group of specially trained young men who he would teach the art of building forts. This would lead to the secrets of their signs and the secrets of the art of building, which is the foundation of Freemasonry. Because of Nimrod's conquering of the leopard and the development of the art of fortification and Freemasonry, his popularity would continue to increase. Nimrod was able to liberate the people from the fear of wild animals. He would become a figure of immense popularity. He would don the leopard skin, symbolic of his victory over the leopard, and parade before the people. He was on his way to becoming the first super warrior, the first superhero, the first superstar. Nimrod, the mighty hunter, would be worshipped as a god during his lifetime. An entire system of worship would develop around Nimrod. He would be known by many names in many nations. He would be known as Tammuz, the origin of the symbol of the cross, and the same Talmud of the Qumran. He would be known as Ninus, the origin of the capital city of the Assyrian Empire, known as Nineveh. The capital city of the Assyrian Empire was known as Nineveh, which means the habitation of Ninus. He would be known as Bacchus, and Dionysus, the two-faced god, and the entire Babylonian religious system of Cush, Seba, who is Nimrod, and Semiramis, would be inherited by the Mesmerites, who are now Egypt, into the concept of Horus, Osiris, and Isis. Abraham, the father of nations, under the Melchizedek, would organize the downfall of Nimrod, the mighty hunter. This is referred to in the Qumran, Surah 2, Ayah 258. Has that not turned their vision to one who disputed with Abraham about his Lord? Because Allah has granted him power. Abraham said, "My Lord is he who gives life and death." He said, "I give life and death." Said Abraham, "But it is Allah that caused the sun to rise from the east. Do thou then cause him to rise from the west?" Thus was he confounded, who in arrogance rejected faith. Nor does Allah give guidance to a people unjust. You see, Nimrod's inability to make the sun rise in the west would prove to the people that Nimrod was a false god. This would lead to the crucifixion and death of Nimrod, the mighty hunter. This is the true origin of many of the crucifixion concept that is seen throughout the modern day religious system that we see in Western society. After the death of Nimrod, the mighty hunter, this particular system would go underground. It is why underground it will come refined and perfected and known as the Babylonian mystery of iniquity. It was also while underground that one last piece and the final piece of the puzzle was put in place for this idolatrous paganic system. Semiramis, who was Easter, she is the one that added the last piece. She perpetrated the myth that Nimrod, the mighty hunter, was not only a super warrior, not only a superhero, a superstar, but he had the power to overcome death itself, to rise from the dead.
Silence, and I hear you. I hear you. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the mix is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor.